Welcome to the Soul Searching Girl podcast, where healing happens. Soul Searching Girl, episode 149. A goodbye. Dear wildflowers, this is probably one of the most important podcast episodes I will be doing here on my channel, and I hope that you'll listen all the way through. This has been a long time coming, and I'm going to sense that some of you have sensed that. But if you have been with me since the beginning, since before even Soul Searching Girl started on YouTube in 2012, that's when I started to talk out the most vocally about my Mormon experience, when there was really hardly anyone on YouTube talking about this. And if you've been with me that long, you've been with me through all the iterations of what my podcast is. Soul Searching Girl to Exmormonology in 2019. I think that's when I started Soul Search or Exmormonology. And then we went through the Unorthodox Woman iteration. And then I came back full circle. No, oh my gosh, I forgot the Green Shoe Society was just a little blip on the radar. This was me all just trying to figure out, what do I want to do with this podcast? And of course, I came full circle back to Soul Searching Girl, which seems so appropriate for this podcast that I've been doing. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for trusting yourself with me and my words and my advice and my guidance and my coaching as one leaves the Mormon church, as one leaves a high control religion. It is not easy. And ever since I started going through my own struggle with it all, the one thing I wanted was to feel heard and understood. And I didn't get that by the people in my life that I thought I would. And so I wanted you to feel like you were listened to and you were understood. And what you were going through was really hard. And I understand that. My message has always been for the woman at 2:00 in the morning who's crying her eyes out. I wanted to give you some comfort because I didn't get that in my dark night of the soul. The past 14 years since I started speaking out publicly about what it is to be Mormon and what it is to leave the Mormon church has been quite the journey. And I've actually loved sharing it with you. I've loved sharing my stories and what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and what can help you through this very scary, fearful time in your life. And I'm here with you today to tell you, and maybe you've seen this coming before I could, but I've outgrown this space. In the past several years, I think I've been struggling to make it fit in the same box that it started. And if I've learned nothing else from leaving the Mormon church, is sometimes we've got to bust out of a box to move on into the next area of our life. And I feel like I've just kind of been dragging this along, like, come on, it can work. And there was just a point at which it just stopped coming through me as easy as it used to be. So this is my last Soul Searching Girl, Exmormonology, Unorthodox Woman, Green Shoe Society podcast episode. You and I have been through a lot together over the past several years as we've worked through so many of our struggles in life. And I hope you have healed as much as I have. And my life too has been the 50-50. And I hope you know what that means when I say it is life is 50-50. It's going to be the 50-50 great and loving and wonderful and peaceful. And it's also going to be 50% of just the hard stuff. I'm no exception to that. I have all the tools. I still have the things that I struggle through. And that's okay. That is what this life is about. The work that I do is so special to me because it has helped me through so many areas in my life where I've struggled. And I want you to remember the word struggle, because whatever it is you're going through, I imagine from time to time you use the word struggle. I want that to be your sign that this is the area you need to bust through. This is the place. That's your sign. I just struggle with this. I struggle with that. I struggle with this relationship. That is your sign that that is the area that you need to go all in on to figure out. What this work does, and what I think has been the most helpful piece of coaching that I truly understand now, that I have downloaded into my body, is that you have to let your brain freak out. Right? I call it the lizard brain. When you go through something hard, you have to let your brain freak out from time to time. That is lizard brain, the primitive part of your brain that is designed through all of this evolution we have been through in life to help protect you. That is for immediate danger. The problem is we spin in that space for a really long time. Your job as you are on the process of healing is to recognize when you're in lizard brain mode versus when you've been able to get out of lizard brain mode and into your prefrontal cortex, where you can now think of your struggle in a more helpful way. But when you are stuck in that primitive lizard brain, its job is to keep you safe. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. That is what is happening there. And your job is to allow that to be present without making it mean anything about you. This is the hardest piece. Because if you can get to the point in your own self-coaching, after you've been through therapy, you've listened to podcasts, you've read hundreds of books in the self-help world, this little micro piece of your healing is so important. Because if you can get to the place where your brain goes, oh, I see what's happening. Okay. Feel this feeling, whether it's panic, anxiety, fear, anger, whatever that emotion is. If you can get to your place, and this happens so fast, this is why it's so hard, where you can go, oh, this is what's happening. Of course I'm in fear. Of course I'm angry. Of course I'm depressed. And you let that part of you, which is why I say processing your emotions, because allowing yourself to feel that when it's the last thing you want to do, that is when you know you're on your healing journey. When you have the awareness that that's what's happening, you get to decide from that place to feel. That will help reduce that emotion. And when you can start accessing your prefrontal cortex, that is when you can start deciding on purpose, what do you want to do about the situation that you're struggling with. So when I'm in this situation, when I can get to awareness, because you're not in awareness when it first happens, but when you can get to the place of awareness, you get to go, oh, okay, I know how to finish this formula. I'm freaking out. I'm having a big difficulty emotion. I don't want to. I need to feel it. I need to allow it to be in my body and not make it mean anything about me. You'll start coming down from that incredibly difficult emotion. And you let yourself calm down. And then you can think more clearly of what you want to do, what a game plan is, how you want to work this through. All right? That piece to your healing is going to change your life forever. If you don't do that, what happens is the lizard brain habitually gets used to that spiraling down until you're in fetal position in your bed. How do I know that? That is how I have learned to cope with my pain, with my grief, with my anger, with my insecurities. And over the course of these years, I have been able to go, oh, Amy, this is why you do this. And this is what you need to do to get out of it. And this is why I will forever believe in coaching. It's a way to give your unmanaged mind a direction to go. And what I've noticed, though, is it doesn't change the 50-50. I mean, you might have really good times, right? Life's good, everything's going your way. But the other side of that 50-50 is still there. It is still part of your life. And I think we spend so much time thinking, if I feel those feelings, I'm not happy in life. But like I said on my TikTok the other day, I help you fold in the cheese. And folding in the cheese is folding in all of these emotions into your life so that you learn and you develop your trusting yourself muscle, that no feeling is too overwhelming for you, that you are in fact strong enough to feel an emotion because it's a vibration going on in your body. That's what's happening. And this is the thing. Only you can do that. It doesn't matter how much therapy, coaching, books, podcasts, conversations you've had. You are the only one that can feel that emotion all the way through. No one can do this for you. I remember years ago watching Oprah talk about her weight loss journey. And if you're of my generation, we are all very familiar with that. And I remember her saying, I have the money. I could buy a pill, which apparently now that's a thing. But anyway, I can buy a pill. I could make someone else do this for me, right? All the things. No, that journey with her body was her own, and no pill can take place of what has to happen in your mind and in your body when you're on a body journey, which I'll be getting to in just a minute. So when you learn to build the capacity to feel every single emotion that you are going to feel throughout your life, that's when you're building the capacity to trust yourself, which is why I feel all of this journey that we're on is about you trusting yourself. And I think something that's really hard for those of us who grew up in high control religion, who had a high control manipulative household, who felt controlled in our lives, we have to start to separate that so we can start to feel safe in our own body. But no one can do that for you. And that's why this work is so important and powerful to the changes you can make in your life. When you do this, I swear to God, I swear to non-God, that only you can do this. That is your peace. You have to do that if you want to move through the healing. You have to be willing to feel your feelings when you're feeling stuck, because this is your part. This is the piece of your puzzle that only you can do for you. No one else can feel your feelings. No one. Just you. And you know all of the pieces of your puzzle that have created this knot that you find yourself in when you say that you're stuck. I get it. I know the knot. I understand the knot. It is our job, your job and my job, to pull that apart. Just like a jewelry knot, you know, when you have to sit at it and you just have to keep working the knot, which is all of these years. Look, I'm 55 and I have just busted through one of the biggest things I could bust through in my life, to understand myself. So there's no time frame in which everything perfectly comes together. But as you continue to show up to do the work, and whatever that looks like for you, this is time on task. This is time on getting to know you. This is time well spent. It is for you to figure out. So I want to ask you, what is something that you've had in your head as a dream? Something that you want in your life? Like for me, I want a beach house. And I kind of think, who doesn't? Right? I want a healthy relationship. I want to not feel so sad and worried all the time. I want to feel confident in my body. I want to feel confident in my bank account. There are things that I want in my life that I've been afraid to open the door to figuring out why I struggle with these things. So what is it for you? Like the go after your dreams kind of life. The one that you keep thinking is going to happen someday. Let me tell you this. In order for you to reach that goal, to live that life that you're wanting, you are the one that has to change. You are the one that has to put in the work to feel your way to that goal. And I have been fearful of two big areas in my life. Money, my relationship with money, and the relationship with my body. Now, I now understand why I think and feel the way I do about my body and about money. But it has taken me, it's almost like it's that peeling of an onion, right? Like you keep healing different pieces of your life, which I have had so much healing in my life, I would say, over the past, starting with the faith crisis, that really blew my life up. And since then, a little bit at a time, as I have experienced more awakening in my own brain, this is where it starts to happen. We have body issues a lot of times because we've been pushing down our emotions. We've been eating our feelings. This is stuff we know logically. This isn't rocket science as far as your new information for you. I just want you to kind of look at it maybe from a different angle. Same with money. The thoughts we think about money is what's creating our financial life. It's what is creating my financial life. And if you were to ask me what I think my biggest struggles are, that's what I would tell you. My body issue, which is why I've hidden behind the camera. I haven't wanted to go public as far as on video because I'm afraid of judgment. I'm afraid you're going to have judgments about me that you're going to think I'm not enough because, oh my gosh, she's a fat person. And I'm using that in a healthy way, not a negative way, just so you know. But guess what? I think that because I'm judging myself. I'm judging myself. And as I have learned in life, no one can judge me more than I judge myself. And I think the same goes for you too. And these two areas, I have been afraid to peek behind the curtain. So I say that much like Wizard of Oz, much like those of us who've gone through a faith crisis, We had to be willing to peek behind that curtain, to follow that inner knowing that we've had inside of us. At least for me, that's how it was. I had an inner knowing for 6 years before I got the courage to peek behind that curtain. Once you pull that curtain behind, like you open it up and you can see, oh my gosh, that's what I've been afraid of, that man behind the curtain, right? Then you are free to go explore. But until you're willing to kind of like pull that curtain apart, you will stay stuck. And this is why it's so scary. Because it is hard. When I look at back at all the things I've busted through, if I knew it was going to happen before it happened, I don't know that I would have done it. Right? When I think of what it was to act, I wouldn't change anything. But when you don't know it ahead of time, that's why it's so scary, because you have no clue what's coming. The truth is, and this is why I'm closing this podcast down, is I have spent the last 18 years-ish, whenever all this started for me, and I have felt so hurt and betrayed by the life choices that I have made, and not that they were all bad, but that I felt like I didn't have control over the life, even though I chose every decision. But when you add the conditioning and the control layer over it, and you can start to see the control and manipulation, did I choose all of this? Now, I often tell my clients, we leave the church and we often perfect the other road, which there's no way to know what our other road would have been, but we perfect that as if that would have been so much better. We have no clue. We have no clue what another path for you would have been, and we get stuck in the round and round as in life would be so much better. But let me tell you what, if you have walked this journey, you have busted through paradigms that you don't even know you have. And I'm talking, obviously, religious beliefs is one, misogyny, homophobia, racism, all the things, right? We've had to slowly peel back the onion to get to each layer and think, why am I thinking this way about this thing? Why am I thinking this way? And then you slowly walk back to yourself, because now you're thinking critically. Now you're parting the water so you can get to the other side of this struggle. And so, yes, Heidi, I love you. If you're listening, you were right. There's so much more to this conversation you and I can have if we ever do one day. But let me tell you, when you can see the spinning you're doing in your struggle, when you can see it clearly, your life will change. And some things for us are so hard to get to the place where we can see it clearly. But this is the work. This is why I call it work. When a client comes to me, I think they think, I'm going to be cured in 3 months. No, we're just setting the ground level for you. We're just clearing the way so that you can learn to rinse and repeat this formula, quote unquote, over and over again, as you will need to throughout your life. Healing isn't that magical place we arrive on the mountain where the rainbows and butterflies are, where there's no hard times. No, we do this work so we can manage our brain and our body and our emotions every step of the way, no matter how long we live this life. And I think, as you know, I have tried to change this podcast way too many times. And everything always comes back to my religious trauma. Because I think that to really heal religious trauma, it takes a lifetime. For those of us who grew up in the church when clearly it's different than it is today, when we grew up in the 70s and 80s, and dare I even say 90s, there was a path, that rod we had to hold on to. There were no exceptions to the rules we could keep or couldn't keep. I'm kissing the microphone. There were no exceptions. It was ruled. It was rule-based. And if you get someone like me, who's a very, someone tells me something, I'm a very real, I'm trying to think of how I phrase that, literal. I take things very literally. And I find that I do that today even, where there's obviously more nuance in my life and I'm not as black and white as I used to be, but it's this part of me where I take things very literally. So if someone tells me something and they're going to do it and they don't do it, I'm like, but you said you would. And I don't mean I don't know how to fully explain that. But it's something I've learned about myself as I have been deconstructing my habitual ways of dealing with stress and problems and trauma and uncomfortableness in my life. And so it's time for me to set this down. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe it. I've had some things happen over the last couple months that have really opened my eyes to my own journey and where I need to go next. And I feel very free even sharing this with you. Because once I had a certain, I talked about this in my Mama Trauma Map. Once I was able to connect the dots to the trauma that I had in my life and the relationship I have with my mom, everything came into clarity. It became very clear of the reasons why I was wanting my mom to be different than she was, the reason why I wanted my sister to be different than who she was, and different people in my life. I can see it because I've connected it back to my trauma and my ways of showing up in the world, and that's why this work is so important. I want to step out of my cozy little nook in the world. I think the ex-Mormon world, as dysfunctional as it is out there, I have so many thoughts and stories on that I have tried to keep very professional because of this podcast. Anyway, I do think that the ex-Mormon world can be even more toxic because what is happening is you have a bunch of people in trauma. You have a bunch of people trying to figure things out without the guidelines of what we had before. Now that's incredible. It's incredible for our growth. It's incredible for you to learn how to navigate that. But because not everyone has good intentions, they take that and they can do things maybe they shouldn't with it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But for me, I've stayed connected, kind of a push-pull relationship. And I've noticed that with this podcast here, I've been doing the same thing. And that is why it hasn't felt like I think it should feel for my life right now. Like I was trying to make something work. And I was like, no, I don't want any part of this. And not because of you. I love you and I still want to work with you. But because I was keeping my nose in the mess of what is the Mormon church. Because it's a mess. And what happens to us after we leave is hard. It's emotional and it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking when you did believe it and loved it and lived it. I know. Don't judge me for saying that. However, as I step into these next two frontiers, my body issue and my body love or lack of love for me and my body, and my money issues, I believe that these are still connected to the ugly underbelly of patriarchy. All right? Because I too get grace. I too have been in a cult. I too have had to learn to take that necklace and get it unknotted. But there are some pieces of my life that I have not felt safe enough to explore. And after the past couple years of really my life turning upside down again, as I've shared with you, I would say since I left the church and since my divorce and all of that, I feel like another unearthing. But this is the thing. When you learn to trust yourself along this healing journey, you start to recognize the patterns that happen in what needs to be done to start healing yourself from whatever it is that you need to heal yourself from. And for me, as I started going, why do I keep going back to this church stuff? Why? Because it was keeping me from opening a couple other doors that are still left for me to figure out in my life. And so, as a woman who has grown up, like you, in a patriarchal society where men make the money, men are the breadwinners. Even though I've been trying my best to do this, I don't think I've gotten down to some of the underlying thoughts and feelings that I have about a woman making money in this world and allowing money to come to me abundantly because I have these mental blocks around money and I'm going to figure this out. The same goes for my body. Right? And body image here, especially in the United States, we're all messed up. We have this all wrong. But you know what I do know about my body? Yes, I have gained a lot of weight over the last little while, but my body has helped me. My body is still functioning and surviving. It is now my turn. It is now my time to pull back the curtain on my money beliefs and my body beliefs so that I can love any money that comes my way and that I can love my body no matter what it looks like and that I don't have to get back to 125 pounds because that is some deep patriarchal conditioning in my body, in my mind. And so that is why I'm changing the channel. I'm shutting this down so I can focus on some other areas in my life that I really need to. What I have learned is that peeking behind the curtain to whatever your blocks are in your life, whatever you feel the most stuck in, it is always worth it. It's not fun, right? But if you can notice the patterns that you've experienced in your own traumas, in your own heartbreak, in your own losses and struggles in life, there is a pattern to all of it. And you and I have developed a habitual way we deal with emotions we don't want to deal with. Of course, most of us are like, no, never, please, no. But what if you got really curious and you trusted yourself to feel your way through your struggle instead of judging yourself through your struggle? I don't know. That could be a game changer. Listen, Wildflower, I know you have busted through so many things in your life. And do you know how I know that? Because you're here right now listening to me in the self-help industry. What that tells me is that you still have hope, that you can change your life to be, to become, to experience anything you want in life. But it's up to you. You're still here, listening to my voice because you have hope. And hope is what's going to get you through. Hope is what has gotten you through all the things you've gotten through. You trusting yourself to take one little step. So your life can get better, but you have to be willing to look behind the curtains. When I think about, I have notes written because I don't want to forget anything. Whatever you want in life is literally on the other side of that door. Literally. That journey to open the door and get through the door and through whatever is there waiting for you is not going to look like what you think it's going to look like, right? Because we're probably talking about your nervous system, your habitual ways of thinking and feeling, and the cycle that is. When I think of what I had to do to get through my marriage, well, not my marriage. I had a good marriage, actually. I had a very healthy, good marriage until I changed my paradigm and thought, what the hell is happening here? So marriage, divorce, my affair, which I've spoken publicly about on this podcast, my relationship with my mom. Now the relationship with my siblings is changing because of the relationship that I chose to work through for myself with my mama trauma. And also friends that I've had in my life. And you know how friendships come and go. What I've had to do is see how I'm showing up in the relationships in my life. And do I want to keep showing up that way? You know that I'm big on the concept of dishonest harmony. And honestly, whenever I learned that earlier this year, it really changed things fast for me. Because I realized that's the piece of this puzzle. It's the only piece of this puzzle that I have control over. How I'm showing up in my relationships. Now, in all of these life circumstances, I've survived. I have survived peeking behind the curtain and doing the work to heal. And not that sometimes there's things in our life we don't realize what door we're opening until we've opened it. And then we're like, well, here I am. I got to do this work. However, I feel like over the past several years, I have been clinging to the pain and to the hurt and to some of the life choices that I made in my life connected to the life changes I was experiencing. I've clung to the hurt. I've clung to the pain. I've rolled around in it. And I've had it be my constant companion. And so until I could see the why, like why I've been this way, and I don't believe you always have to know the why to make changes in your life. But for me, in my logical brain, I can see when I left the church, I had to logically study my way out of it. I'm that way with many things. I've done that this past year and a half or two with the relationship with my mom, which has then helped me see the relationships I have with my girlfriends in my life of how I've shown up. And that's been a tough pill to swallow. But just like everything else, I wouldn't change it. That's all me coming back to me, to understanding me. Same for you. This is why you're on the journey. So you can understand yourself, so you can make an educated, healthy, emotional change in your life if you want to. It's crazy when you walk through that door. It's crazy what starts to happen to you. It sucks. It's hard. It's painful. It's emotional. It's a lot, but you're still here. That tells me a lot about you, Wildflower. Shame and guilt is also a constant companion in this pulling yourself away from all this religious trauma you've experienced. Shame and guilt is deep in us. And that's combined with just how we're socialized as women as well. It's a tough one. And I know that it's connected to my money story and my body story, which is why I'm going down that road. Because now I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of see how this works. I'm going to have to get uncomfortable before I can get comfortable. I'm going to have to feel these feelings. I'm going to open the door wide open and figure this out. So all that to say, I'm moving in a new direction and I'm scared as hell. And I'm kind of like, holy fuck, what am I doing? But here's the thing. With all that I've been through in my life, I trust myself to figure it out. Now, use this in your own eye. Instead of thinking, I'm never going to figure this out, I'm always going to have money issues, I'm always going to not love my body, what if I trust myself to figure it out? Because maybe I don't have to keep thinking those negative thoughts about my body and money. And I have a sneaking suspicion that they're connected, but we'll be finding that out on the journey if you choose to follow me where we're going. I want to feel more financially abundant in my life. I want that experience. What I know now is my thoughts have to change. Because swimming in the thoughts of negativity around money and body image keeps you in the negative space of money and body. And I'm done with that. I think I'm 55. I think I get to move on from that and I get to figure it out. And I also, side note, chose a profession that is a trauma response to some of the trauma I have experienced, which is a strange thing to become awake to see that you do that. I want you to feel better. I want you to feel more happiness. I want you to learn how to feel your emotions. I want you to feel loved and understood because it's something I didn't get. Crazy how life works out, right? I, on this journey, have worked through so many things. I had to heal me because no one else fucking could. No one else could. I've learned why I have certain coping skills. I have certain attachment styles. I have certain things about me that I have developed that I thought kept me safe. I'm healed when I know. You are healed when you know that you can walk away from a relationship you don't want to be in. When you know that you can validate yourself when you're not getting it from someone else. That's your job. It's whipped cream on top when we have people in our lives that can do that for us because we do want to feel loved and understood. But sometimes we fight, we put our head against the wall that this person should give that to me. I'm speaking from experience. This person, if this person would listen to me and understand me, then I would get to feel better. Guess what? You get to feel better even if that person isn't going to listen to you, isn't going to validate you the way you want to be. That's a huge piece of healing when you get to that place. I have spent my whole life waiting for people to see my worth. If I was just good enough, like for my family, if I was just good enough, then maybe they'd see why I made the decisions to leave the church. But guess what? I can't convince anyone of anything, just like no one could have convinced me before it was time for me to leave the church. Same thing. Same for everyone in your life. They can't see it until they see it, just like you. You are the only one that can see your life from your perspective. If you were like me, at that base of everything was me holding on to relationships because I thought they can change. Now, we know logically we can't change people, but who in your life are you subconsciously clinging to that they will change? And you aren't loving them for who they are. Right? Because you have a manual for them that if they just see life, and it doesn't even have to be the church, this can be any area of your life. If they would just see from your point of view all that you know, they would change. And then you'd get to have a better relationship. Ideally, I think that's what most of us think. But we can't make people change. That's not a thing. And if we did, maybe we're coming from the controlling and manipulative way that we think they should be. And round you go, right? If they just listen to me, right? I'm going to read this part because I'm not going to be able to remember it all. When I did all the work with the relationship with my own mom, when I saw clearly some of the trauma and abuse I experienced that I could not see until I separated the church from my mom, could I get to the deeper layers at the base of this relationship? I wanted my mom to change. I wanted her to be different so I could feel something else. If she just changed, I could feel understood. And who knows if that would really happen? In my little dream mind, that's what I thought would happen. It was me wanting to be loved in ways that she couldn't because of her own experience in life. At the end of the day, no one changes except for you. No one changes except for you. And this is your work to do now. So I'm starting fresh and I'm trusting myself. Are you ready? I'm going to build a whole new everything. Audience, reach, energy, trust in myself. Because I thought with the questions, you can answer these for yourself. Who am I to make money? Who am I to be financially independent or secure in life? Who am I to feel better in my body? Who am I to love my body? Who are you, Wildflower, to be anything and everything you bloody want to? Who are you? I now recognize this pattern to healing, like I was saying. You have to trust yourself to follow your inner knowing, and that's why I will always come back to helping you trust yourself. Helping you trust yourself through all of it, all of life, because that's what it will boil down to. The same inner knowing that left me out of the church is the same inner knowing that has allowed me to start investigating and peeling back the layers to everything I want. Trust yourself, Amy. You know the formula. And since I can now recognize my fearful feelings that I have about money and making money and what people think of me if I have money, the shame I feel because I'm not where I want to be in life, it's all connected to feeling like a victim of my circumstances in life, which is crazy because right over there, I have a sign that says, "Be the heroine of your own life, not the victim," by Nora Ephron. And I fully understand what that means now. If you're no longer using excuses because you don't have certain things in life or a relationship or a job or a career, and you're blaming it on something from your past, that's the sign you have work to do. For me, I've always had this feeling like I want to be rescued. Someone else figure this out for me so I don't have to feel this, the underbelly of what it feels like to have debt, to be overweight, to not feel confident in certain areas of my life. But that's just a silly thought, to be rescued. That sounds lovely. What I want to know is, what I want to feel in my bones is I'm worthy. I am safe to do this work. And I can open this door and feel whatever comes up for me on the other side. You can too. I want you to come along this journey that I'm starting. And here we are. It is called the Morning Pep. Kind of like morning pep talk. But this is a new place, new social media. Come follow me. Go look just on Instagram and TikTok right now. But there will be a podcast called The Morning Pep and probably a YouTube channel. I haven't decided that one yet. But this is going to be me figuring out these things with you, in front of whoever wants to watch, as I emotionally process what it is to feel my way through these struggles, quote unquote, that I have in my life. Because I feel like I've said before, we have these thoughts that keep us round and round, like whatever coping skills, whatever you have developed over your life subconsciously to deal with hard times. Whatever you have done to get you through the hard times, when you can start to kind of zoom out and go, oh, I want to work on this area of my life, that means I'm going to have to open the door and feel whatever is there waiting for me. Do you trust yourself to feel your way through? Listen, a feeling is one of the hardest things you'll ever deal with in life. All the difficult ones, you make a list. That's the key to your healing. Having the hard conversation. Changing the thoughts you think about yourself, deciding you want to make a change and then doing it. That's all very scary, especially if you put certain things off in your life till you're 55. So if you are listening, I still want to coach you. As a matter of fact, if you have been with me for so long and you're like, gosh, I want to work with Amy. and then you have all the reasons why you don't, challenge your thoughts. I am not kidding you when I know the value of this work. So my website, amyloganlife.com, is still up. I still have offerings. Everything that's in motion, if you're a current client of mine, we are going to still be doing the coaching. We are still doing wildflower sessions. It's not too late to join that either. And I still have options for a 3-month coaching experience with me. And also, if you want to go a year with me, I have that option for you too. Because truthfully, I know this work takes longer than 3 months. There are certain things I've been working on in my life for my whole life. And like I just said, my body issues and my money issues are the next frontier that I will be busting through. So I hope you will join me on the morning pep. And you too can be deciding, you know what? I have body issues and I have money issues. This is interesting. Come follow me. I don't even have anyone following me on the new stuff yet because I haven't talked about it, with the exception of one other person. If you're listening, you know who you are. I messaged you through TikTok and we talked about it. I haven't shared this with anybody except for Jim, obviously. He set this place up for me so I can make this podcast on video. So I still want you to come work with me. I don't know how long I'm going to keep amyloganlife.com up. I'm not even sure what I want to do with this podcast. I'm not sure if I want to just take it down. There's a part of me that through my healing journey, I think because I wanted to be seen, loved, and understood, I've shared some very vulnerable pieces with me in the world. And as I have healed, I kind of want to take it down because I feel like I've done the healing and I've healed out loud for a lot of my stuff. But I've shared some really personal and private things with you. And there's part of me that's healed that's like, I don't need that out in the world anymore. I can kind of take my ball and go home. So I'm going to keep this up for a while and decide later. I literally have not decided what to do with it. You can send me messages and let me know what you think if you'd like, if you value this and you want to keep it up. And hey, because I'm working on my money story, if you have valued this podcast and we've never communicated, you've never been a client of mine, but you want to thank me for maybe this has helped you, amyloganlife@gmail.com is a place where you can donate to the podcast, where you can donate to what this is that I have created that has helped lots of people. Do it. I will be happy to accept a thank you donation. I think because I've had a hard time asking for things like that because I have judgments about people who do that, which is connected to my own money story. So this is one of the first things I'm doing. That if you've grown and you've learned and you have healed because of something I've said and you want to contribute to the emotional labor that has gone into this, I graciously accept that. amyloganlife@gmail.com via PayPal is where you can send that. But I do want to still work with you. So those offerings are still up on my website and you can still hire me to be your coach. And even if it's religious trauma, I know that I'm saying I've been anchored and kind of tied to that pain. When I'm working with a client, that's not the case. What I'm talking about when I say that is kind of what you have to do to stay relevant in the ex-Mormon world, is talking about all the sensationalized things. And my whole thing has always been, no, I want to help you through the hard stuff because that sensationalized stuff, the things the prophets say, your family says, people say who are Mormon, who are ex-Mormon, that's not healthy. After a certain amount of time, it's time to turn that dial down. All right? And you only know when that's time for you. But the addiction of staying with your nose in the heaping pile of will continue to happen until you decide to change the channel. And only you know when it's time. I think there's so many great people and podcasts and experiences that we all share with one another that are invaluable. But you have to know when it's time, like me. I say this because I've done this for the past, let's see. I'm going to give myself the 2 years of discovery and probably even 5 years, 7, 8 years after that, as it is necessary. But at some point, you are being tethered to the pain of your trauma again and again and again, and that's not healthy. It's just not. All right. So the Morning Pep is a new place to talk about things related to money and body issues. So that's what we'll be doing over there. Like I said, don't know how long this podcast is going to be up, but it will be for a little while longer. I want to tell you one story, and this is the one thing that when you are a woman who has left the church and you have You're Gen X. I'm going to speak to you because I think our Gen X experience in the church is different than today. You're not to work. You're to have as many babies as you can. You're to stay home and you're to be the nurturer. When I left the church and I went to my very first business event, okay, this was, oh gosh, I'm not even sure, 2011 maybe? I went to a Marie Forleo event. She's an entrepreneur. I love her. She's amazing. And I went to an event in New York by myself, flew there, spent 3 days with entrepreneurs from all over the world. And I remember walking into this room that had probably 300 women in it. And it was a event, man. Music was playing. People were dancing. It was happy. It's my first, no, it wasn't my first time in New York, but it was my first time in like consciously making a choice to go to something that could help me as a woman who didn't have a career. I graduated with my bachelor's degree. I taught high school before my kids were born. And then I did jobs I could do at home while my kids were little. So this was me really going out of my comfort zone. And I fell in love with Marie and just all she has to offer the world and the work she's doing in the world, where someone who grew up so different than I did. And I was blown away by it. And at the time I had a ceramic handprint training. I had a ceramic handprint impressions business that I ran for a long time, but I was wanting to get out of it and make a training video. So other people, I still have that, ceramichandprinttraining.com. But I walked in there and I felt like my whole world just opened up in ways I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Because you know the story, I grew up Mormon. We weren't supposed to go have careers, and don't tell me otherwise because that's not true. No, we're supposed to stay home with our children. And my brain exploded. And I think the next year Marie had offered, it was a $5,000 weekend for, I think there were 23 or 24 of us, to go to Santa Monica and have this business coaching weekend. $5,000. This was in addition to what I paid. I think when I went to New York, it was a $1,500 event. Anyway, I just got wrapped up into this world. And at this event, her partner, Josh Pius, who's also an actor, he's also like an actor's coach. And so the two of them had this thing going, and Josh was helping us all get out of our kind of insecurities. And one of the things he had us do was stand up, and I don't even remember the instructions, okay? But now I'm standing. This quiet, introverted woman is standing up in front of, with her team and her people. There were probably 25 to 28 of us. I'm standing at the front of the room and I was supposed to scream something out and I didn't know what to do. And now I'm walking up to the front and I'm like, oh my gosh. I stood up there and I screamed, listen to me, like that gut-wrenching sound. And what I've shared with you earlier on this podcast is that I felt like people needed to listen to me. It's probably why I did a podcast. It's why I did a YouTube channel. It's these thoughts that I've had. It's these thoughts that I've had over the years that people need to listen to me and witness my pain. And when my family didn't do that for me because they couldn't, because they still believe in the things that the church is, how could they be there for me? So I have relived that, me screaming so emotionally and being very vulnerable in front of these people who I actually love. They're great people. But it had such an impact on me because it allowed me to see what I'm really wanting. And what I needed was to be heard, loved, and understood from the people. Even my husband at the time couldn't do that for me. I wasn't married to him at the time this happened, but looking back at the relationships, I had this moment last week, a couple days ago, I don't even know, where, you know how I'm big on thoughts. Your thoughts create your feelings, which creates your actions in your life, which creates whatever results you're getting. And I've had this need to be listened to and to be understood and to be taken seriously because I didn't get that from certain people in my life. And a couple days ago, I had the thought, why do you need people to listen to you? Because here I am. I have a podcast. I'm wanting you to listen to me. All right? I felt like Dobby had been handed his sock. Amy, no one needs to listen to you. I think this ties back to our Mormon upbringing. Everything ties back to the specialness we were told we were. We are special daughters of God. We are special. We are so special. We were chosen for this time. to live on this earth at this time to bring in the second coming of Jesus Christ, which I think every generation has been told since the beginning of Jesus. I can't tell you when I had that was a thought. Listen to me. That thought has not helped me in my life. Of course I want it. Of course I wanted it from the key people in my life when they couldn't give it to me. And I find it ironic that this is what I've done. Created a podcast and a coaching business stemming from that place. And I don't regret that. I wouldn't change it. It's been very healing for me to do this work with you, in front of you, and with you all. But it was like my brain turned upside down and I felt free. Wait, what do you mean? No one needs to fucking listen to me. You don't have to listen to me because it doesn't really matter. You have your own unique life. You have your own labyrinth in your head of what you specifically have to navigate. So when people kind of bitch about life coaches, and I'm sure there's a range of them, believe me, I've had a few myself. No one knows your full experience. And so it's never my job as your life coach to tell you anything of what you should do with your life. That's up to you. But what I do know, as I've cracked the code on many areas in my own life where I needed healing, is I'm the mirror for you. I hold up your thoughts and your emotions in front of you, and then we explore that. But I'm never telling you what to do with that. I guide you through your own brain, your own labyrinth, so you can figure out your own solutions to your own very unique problems in life. And this might seem silly, like you might be going, Amy, didn't you know that? No, I didn't. I do now, and I logically know those things, but this is just like you and whatever you're going through. Until your brain does what it needs to do to get to the point of clarity, you won't know. So something that can sound common sense to you wasn't common sense to me, and vice versa. But I feel free to change the channel, to turn this podcast off and let it be its own thing as I go, as I am a different person now than I was even, I'm not kidding you, 2 months ago. That's how this year has just been like, what is happening? But it's all been for me to grow and learn. And I hope I've been able to share with you nuggets of good things along the way so that you can change your life in the areas that you need healing in. Listen, your brain will free you when you feel safe enough to do this work. We all just need one person in our life that we feel safe enough to let that guard down, to maybe ugly cry, to feel like shit and yet feel safe to be able to explore that. And that has happened for me. Thankfully, in my relationship, as I have literally fucking come undone the past 2 years. I mean, you've been witness to my business. I haven't been showing up regularly because I've been doing some deep work that stopped everything else for me until I'm not even sure when I kind of got back on the horse again this past year. But I couldn't before because I was too much in it. When you feel safe enough, when you have one by one, a moment, a feeling, brick by brick, you have a little aha, and eventually all those things start stacking up to where you start trusting yourself more, you start believing in yourself more, and you start realizing that the healing, you just have to peep that door open. And I know, though, that you have to feel safe enough to do it. And for me, it took me, I'd say pandemic really kind of started blowing my life up. But I'd say specifically the last couple of years, I thought if I want to be different, I have to be different. I have to think different. I have to feel differently. I have to allow for uncomfortable emotions to be present in my life. That is the secret to life. We get scared of emotions. Your emotions are nothing to be scared of. Your emotions are to be felt so you can see them, so you can listen to them, so you are validating yourself. Your journey is unique to you. I could never have predicted my life once I left the church. My life was pretty predictable up until the point of my faith crisis. But I am not a unicorn. These experiences are not unique to me. You also have them. And this is your work to do. So you can maneuver through that labyrinth of your own lived experiences that's unique to you. So you can start to change and move into the life you're wanting. Think about what I love thinking about is thinking about all the people in my life who I've been able to grab little nuggets of information, of goodness, of lessons, of good, bad, and the ugly from, that have helped me come to this realization of who I am in the world. So many people, so many amazing people have come in and out of my life at different times who've taught me so many things. We take this complex life that we live and we have all these experiences and we get in our head and we hurt in our bodies and we don't know how to get out of it. But you do know how to get out of it. You have to be willing to feel. You have to be willing to meet yourself in that place so that you don't get stuck on that habitual hamster wheel of coping skills, of ways you deal with life so that you can do it differently, so you can have the things in your life that you don't have because you've been too afraid to peek behind the door. So what are you going to do, Wildflower? What fear is keeping you stuck? Really answer that question. What do you struggle with the most in life? That's your key. That's your sign. That's it. I feel like for most of us, at least for me, that when you finally see what your struggle is, it's like you're on the Groundhog Day, the movie, right? Everything you keeps repeating, your struggle, your fear, the thoughts in your head, how you show up in the world, until you decide that you don't have to keep repeating that pattern. You don't have to wake up in Groundhog Day every day for the rest of your life. You will, unless you start to make changes in your life that only you can make. Only you know what has to be done. And not that you know what has to be done, but you know the way. It's opening that door. It's peeking behind that curtain. It's just going like this. That's what you have to do. And then be willing to feel and process whatever comes up on the other side. You are the one who changes. We want people to change so we don't have to feel these hard, complex emotions, but you are the one who changes, not the other people. Once you do this work and you've downloaded it and you really understand, you are free to go pursue anything you want. Because if you really understand that the hardest thing to do in life is to feel an uncomfortable feeling and that's in your way. So as I'm thinking of the morning pep, here I go, I'm starting something new. And I have been scared of talking about my financial situation and my body image. And so I thought, I will coach myself through and you can watch what it looks like. Some days might be really hard for me. Other days might be like today where I'm like, I can conquer anything. But the human experience is the up and down of it all. And that's what I'm willing to help you do as I do it too. That's what the morning pep or prep is all about. It's helping you get to some of those deep places within you that have been holding you back. This is important work. And the work that I do with my clients, it's all the parts. It's always all the parts. It's all the parts of feeling fear, anxiety, depression, grief, anger, overwhelm, stuckness. Whatever you're feeling, that is what we work on. And you might not even know why you're feeling some of those things or that you even are because we camouflage it with something else. But what are you willing to feel so that you can heal? That's the golden ticket right there. All of this to say is that I love you. I've loved this wildflower journey with you, whether it's soul searching girl or exmormonology or everything in between. This has been an amazing place of healing for me, and I hope for you as well. But from the deepest part of me, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for sharing my podcast. Thank you for coming to work with me if we've worked together. Thank you for coming to Wildflower Weekend. Thank you for coming to all of the parts of that I've shared with you. Because like I said earlier, what that tells me about you is you have hope in who you are and what your future will bring for you. This work doesn't stop because I'm turning the volume down on this particular podcast. I will be continuing the work and continuing to share what has helped me so that maybe it can help you. It's also a goodbye from the piece of me that thought I needed certain things from certain people to heal. And I want you to hear this. You don't need anything from anyone to heal. The story you're clinging on to because someone hurt you, you don't have to believe that story anymore. And you don't have to wait to move on in your life for someone else to say they're sorry. You don't have to. You can choose to keep doing that, but you don't have to keep doing that. You get to move on anyway. If you were a fly on the wall to my last couple years, and this is vulnerable, of course, but this is the vulnerable podcast, so here we go. If you were a fly on the wall to my last couple years of me completely falling apart, I don't know, maybe you'd be disappointed in me. Maybe you'd go, oh my gosh, me too. Like the ugly crying, the staying in bed far too many days than I wanted to shedding layers and layers of grief. It is not a pretty process, but it's an important process. And just like I wouldn't wish a faith crisis on anyone because it's super hard, it's the same thing when what I think about of healing anything that you're experiencing in your life. To heal from it, kind of you have to dip into that place where you let the ugly come out. Is that a thing? I'm hearing that. Anyway, the ugly comes out. But when you can meet that ugly, maybe that's the wrong word to use, but when you can meet that piece of you that's hurting so bad, instead of judging her, you get to love her. This was the shift I made this past few months in my life. It's only been probably 6 months since I started to realize what that means is to not beat me up, to not add to the grief and hurt that I'm feeling as I can't get out of bed, is to not beat me up because of that. Do you know what a shift that does in your body? Because you're showing up as the love you wish someone else had for you. That's why this is your work to do. That's why this is so important. And that's why I will continue doing this work. And that's why I will continue to ask you to come work with me, because that's how healing this work is. At the end of all of it, it's how much love can you have for yourself as someone who's hurting her way through, feeling her way through. That's why we do this work. I am so glad that you have been a part of this journey with me. This space has meant a lot, as it's felt like a safe space. Like when I put my little headphones on when I'm doing the podcast, not in video, I put a thing in my window to help with the sound, and I go into this little cocoon space and I just talk into the microphone and I share with you what's worked, what doesn't work, something funny, something sad, because to me that felt like a little cocoon, a little safe place to be. And now that I feel more expansive, more willing to sit in the shame because it's not real. It's real, but it's not real. I don't have to feel that for the rest of my life. That's what I want for you too. I want you to feel free to do whatever the fuck you want with all the excitement and enthusiasm you can gather and muster so that you can live the life you want. Because listen, we only have this one life as far as I know. And that's my belief. And for those of us who grew up in living in a life that was for some unknown future, I think that's harmed us way more than believing in the eat, drink, and be merry for tomorrow we die mentality. And I don't mean in like a crazy way. I just mean like today is the day you've got. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with today? We don't know what tomorrow brings us. Today is it. That feels so much better in my body than worrying about some golden lined road castle I may get in the next life. No fucking clue what happens. I'm having I've had a hard enough time figuring this life out. I don't need to live in the what if may happen later. Thank you for being willing to listen to my ramblings. I hope that you know that my love for you is just as true as it's always been. I want the best for you. I want you to feel ecstatic. I want you to have a beautiful relationship and the best sex you want in life, if that's what you like. I want you to feel free to dance in the rain, or to get up and sing a song in front of people, or to go after the career you want, or to be able to get a beach house or travel the world, or to start your own business, or to just read a book in peace and quiet. Whatever goal you have in life, that's my desire for you. But what I do know is everything's better when you put in the work to figure your problems out, to figure your struggles out. This is all for you. All the self-help in the world won't help you unless you start to do the things that the books, the podcasts, the speakers, the therapists, whatever, have taught you. It's you taking it and applying it to your own life, even if you feel like shit doing it. You're learning to build your capacity to feel difficult emotions. All right. As we part ways here, the invite is I'm still inviting you. The invite is inviting. Come work with me. Because I'll tell you what, as I work on my money story, those won't be the prices for very long, but they will be as long as they're up. Snatch as many as you want. Come join me. Come do this work. You can email me at amyloganlife.gmail.com. If you have questions, I'm not doing any free mini sessions. If you've been listening to me, you know that it's worth the money. You know that you will get, this is me being real. It will help you in your life. That's a promise. That's the invite. Go to amyloganlife.com. Come work with me. Let's do this work together so that you can feel this feeling that I'm feeling. I want you to have it too. So, but don't forget to come find me. Come follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at The Morning Pep. And I will be starting those platforms tomorrow. So today is Tuesday, the 18th of November. Tomorrow is the 19th, in which I will start doing social media. I will also on December 1st have a new offering for you over there. A little one, not too big of a commitment for that. But yeah, so my new social media is at The Morning Pep on Instagram and TikTok. The new site will be themorningpep.com once I get that up and going. But I just want you to know that I love you. I love you, and you are worth this journey you're walking on. Don't forget that. It's easy to forget that. In these past couple years, I have forgotten that. I've forgotten my worth. I've forgotten my value. I've forgotten that I can sit up tall and proud, and I can do what I'm good at. And I'm a damn good coach, and I love it. And I would love for you to experience that too. All right, let's see. I have more to say, but I think I'm going to wrap this up. I love you. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep trusting yourself. Keep building that trusting yourself muscle. It's just like anything else. If you don't use it and you don't build it, you will lose it. And then you feel like you're starting from scratch again. Let's not let that happen for you. All right? As you bust through all of your traumas and habitual ways of dealing with life and the ways you were socialized and all the paradigms that we bust through that made you who you are, only then can you change you. All right, Wildflower. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me. It feels like a big thing, and it's probably way bigger for me than it is for you. But this is me stepping into the next chapter of me. And I kind of feel like in some weird, strange way that at 55, almost 56 in January, I'm just getting started. The fear that I've had, and maybe this is just going through perimenopause and menopause, Jesus. The giving zero fucks starts to get fewer and fewer. So thank you for being here on this journey. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in. And if you'll still have me, you can come over and follow me on the other social media platforms. But what I want you to know as we part ways here right now is that you are loved, you are understood, and I will listen to you. And are you ready for this? Good morning. And just in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I love you. Now I'm going to go take my Truman for a walk.